Black Box Radio. We have Ace with us. Say hi to the people.
Good evening, everybody.
All right, Mr. Ace, tell the folks what you do in the community so we can unpack how you've been affected.
I just own a clothing store. It's called Center City Boutique, located in downtown Baltimore, 219 Park Avenue.
So you have a clothing store in Baltimore City.
Yes.
Okay, and of course, in Baltimore City, we're shut down. So how's that affected your business?
It affected it greatly, actually. We haven't had any sales, any customers. No, we're not online, so most of our sales come from walk-ins and people that are unfamiliar with the brand. So we have to introduce a lot of these brands to people. And we're fairly new, so a lot of people don't know about the store or the brand. So we have to reach out and get customers. And being that people are locked in or locked away in their homes, it's hard to reach those people.
Are you looking now to try to do something virtual or?
No, I really like dealing with the people. I like to be face to face in my business transactions, and I like dealing with the public. So I would rather do it that way.
Okay. So like 100% of your business is really gone right now. So you have to be creating something.
What are you talking about for revenue?
Well, revenue or just in your mindset. I mean, you know what I mean? Because you're not particularly working, right? So are you
Well, I
creating?
use this time to let's say smell the roses. Actually, this is during Ramadan season, so I'm fasting at the
Okay.
moment. So this is perfect timing, actually. So
Amazing.
right,
So you're doing a lot of
reflecting.
studying. And what are you thinking about this situation that we're in? What do you think about COVID-19?
COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how true it is, but from what I got from my internet sources, that means certificate of vaccination ID. So for that part of it, you know what I mean? I don't know where that COVID
Certificate. Say that again.
certificate of
Certificate
vaccination
ID.
ID.
Okay. What do you
That's just
mean?
from the internet source. Don't quote me on that one, but I've been doing my conspiracy theory,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so I've
And
been
so what do
soaking
you
up a
think?
lot of different knowledge from different revenues, and it's been very interesting. So I've been using that time to study that and investigate, and man, follow through on a little bit of information that I've been acquiring.
Okay. And from that, how do you feel about our situation? Like, I mean, what do you, from your research, what do you think we should be thinking about when it
And when you
comes,
say we,
well, the community? I mean, that's who's listening, or the people who's listening, when I say we, not particularly me or G, just we as a people who are listening to this, to you,
well, I think
what
people
you're
should
saying.
be just diligent and like researching. If they get some information from any of our public officials or information from anybody online, they should not just take it as a grain of salt and run with it. They should research it. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I've been doing. I get a lot. I don't necessarily listen to the news, but if I get bits and pieces from the news, I analyze that. And
Hmm.
whether it's from YouTube, which is my primary source of news, or if it's CNN, which I take some bits and pieces from that and I analyze it. So everything has a purpose, and I think, and in essence, this lockdown, this virus, this state of our being right now has a purpose in our life. Some people can use it for positive because it's a negative thing. The virus itself, if it's killing people, and the lack of business during this time, there's still some positives that come out of that. You know what I mean? So a lot of people getting reacquainted with their family, or just staying away from the club scene, or eating better, or
Hmm.
you know what I mean, throwing certain things like that by cooking us and things of that nature. So I think it's helping because of um, the forces that we don't see. You know what I'm saying? The forces that turns a negative into a positive, if that makes sense.
Well, okay, so you say you are in Ramadan, right?
Yes,
And that is people celebrate that around the world.
yes.
So, but I know there's some gatherings and things when it comes to it. How has this changed the way that you guys are worshiping?
Well, yeah, like you said, it definitely changed things. The places of worship are not open, so we
Hmm.
don't get to gather. And
Hmm.
just like with the Christian faith or the Judaism faith, we gather on our Sabbath, which is a Friday, and we have not been able to do that. So, and even as a human being, I think we are social creatures, and we need that energy from each other. And I
Hmm.
think that's it might be one of the agendas. I'm not sure, but it affects all of us in that nature. So I think that's the negative of that situation, that we're not able to gather for prayer or gather socially. I mean, some
Hmm.
people are not adhering to this stay at home thing and they still gathering for whatever reasons. But I think we as human beings are social creatures and we need to gather. We need to interact with other people. We need the love. We need the touching. We need the interaction. So um, that slightly affects everyone.
Hmm. Yeah, and so I was wondering definitely about Ramadan and the activities and that, and it's something that you guys look forward to.
Right.
And Rona has changed the game on even worshiping, even like the Christian faith. No one's going to church.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these church services are virtual now,
Mm-hmm.
or via TV.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how my mother is actually going to church on Sundays now. She says she goes to church at the table.
Right.
So
And in that church,
everyone has to change their game.
that's true.
Yeah, so it's run the table on all of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally changed how we all are looking at everything that we do. So in this process, you said 100% of your business is gone, and you're definitely in a spiritual mode. So and you're refreshing your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
What is if the when the gates are open and when they say, okay, y'all are free because this too shall pass at some point. Where are you going to be? What's the first thing you're going to work on?
Just traveling. My this was my time to travel. I wanted to travel before Ramadan started, but I was unable
Okay.
to. And yeah, just business as usual. Everything will resume as we ended it. So,
Okay.
but with a conscious knowledge of what has been transpiring for the last few months. You know what I mean? So, my diligence in investigating and uh, uh, researching that will continue.
Hmm.
And yeah, but just business as usual, and we get back to our regular lifestyle, I guess.
So you were about to make a comment about the Queen's choice of words. So you want to make that comment now? Because I think she
About
might have missed
lockdown.
that.
Yeah, basically, she said when we are all free, and it just put us in a mindset that it's just like against our will. I mean, a lot of people are free to do what they want, meaning stay in the house or leave out. Basically, it's not like you are being asked for any papers, any freedom papers, or anything like that. So, but a lot of the internet has been hinting towards that. I mean, I'm not sure of all the fake news that's going on out here, but it was hinted towards that we might have to have some type of essential papers and eventually some certificate that we have been vaccinated papers or some type of treatment for this COVID disease. So if it does become to that, then a lot of people will be locked up behind this and against their will. And it just so happens that she used those choice words, and it's not really like that. You know what I mean? I know a few businesses that are open. You know what I mean? And me the type of person I am, I would usually be open. But like I said, I'm using this time for other reasons. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So just those choice of words just says a lot about our mentality towards this thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I
That
think
we are being locked
well, I
down.
think
You
the
know?
inference is not particularly locked down when it comes to a physical lockdown, more or less. And if they did not have this, people would be outside. So more or less, we are here against our will. Even though this is a killer virus, people are still outside doing things what I wouldn't normally do. I wouldn't do it when we have a event like this. So people are feeling like they're against their will. So when I say when we're freed, it's like being able to get some normality, get out on a daily basis. Yes, we can go out freely. I'm not saying we're enslaved. What I am saying
Well,
is
just the thing.
lifestyle has changed and we do have limits of our socialization. And when the socialization is limited, you feel like your freedom is abridged, more or less. And
I don't believe
no,
that.
you
I
don't, but
mean,
I said it's folks that do, and I'm not saying particularly to you, but people are feeling that way,
right.
unfortunately. So I was just wondering, when it comes to a creative process, where we where we all should be at this point, because this will end, and when it does end, where will you be in that? So I was just more or less saying that, not as we were locked down like slaves, bro.
Right. But that's the thing. I mean, I think a lot of people that we're in a position where we don't control a lot of things. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? As far as like, just say travel, for instance. If I wanted to travel, I couldn't go to the airport and go if the airport ain't open or it's not running. You know what I mean? But for a lot of people that has to eat every day and don't have a job, they still got to go out there and hustle. They still have to get their food, their drugs, their whatever their necessities is. And that hasn't changed anything, regardless of the powers that be said stay in the house. You know what I mean? And I don't think that nobody should deem what they think is essential. You know what I mean? That's like a very uh, um, um, condescending and superior type word. I mean, you know what I mean? You don't go out because that's not essential. That's very wrong. You know what I mean? So I mean, travel could be essential to some people, and they are limiting that to certain people because I'm pretty sure a lot of those uh, people in the world are still traveling. You know what I mean? And being that, I mean, I just came back from North Carolina, so I can still
You
travel,
can
but just say
travel,
on
but
a
you'll be
plane.
some places you're quarantined. I mean, you can get on a
Right.
plane. Traveling is not suspended; it's just limited.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. See, I didn't know you can get on a plane. So
Yeah,
from what I've been hearing, you
that
can't
was
get on
part
a
of the
plane.
stimulus that they could work for the next more 6 months. So they would part of the stimulus was funding the
See,
airline
maybe a lot of
industry.
people don't know
Am I
that.
right,
You
G?
know,
Part of the stimulus was
Yeah.
funding
So,
the airline industry so they can stay up and running.
oh,
Mhm.
really?
yeah, so there aren't that many people traveling, so there aren't as many flights, but there isn't a explicit
True.
ban on flying. It's just, there's just
Yep.
not that
And
many
it's very
people
yeah,
doing
it's
it.
limited, but it is happening. You know, so and then once the problem is once you move on or you get to certain places, there might be a quarantine time. So yes, you can move around, but then there's certain states that you have to stay in a place for 14 days or, you know what I'm saying, shelter in place once you get there. So it's not even worthy of the travel.
Right. So that's what I was speaking about, like all
But that's for health. That isn't for just to
stimulus.
restrict people. But, that's because the virus has those type of um, frequencies, 2 weeks asymptomatic. So it's to keep people healthy. You get what I'm saying?
Right. And what I really wanted to speak on is the fact that the ones that are calling these shots, let's say Anthony Fauci is the one saying stay in your house or restricting certain movements throughout the world. Um, I really don't agree with his tactics. You know what I mean? Him for one is
Uh,
immunologist, and he should be really advising the world or his subjects, his um, community, citizens to boost their immune system. He's really, um, I think, overstepping his boundaries. You know what I mean? As far as um, I don't know what his exact responsibility is to Americans, but for one, he's an immunologist and he should be advising everybody to boost their immune system. And that's one thing that I never heard him speak about. You know
Well,
what I mean?
he's there. Dr. Fauci is there as on a task force to speak about COVID-19 and the actual virus, not he actually
Right.
does. So he's there, a part of a task force like Dr. Burks and Pence and all of these people. They're speaking for the perspective just on the virus, not on what they do. So even Dr. Burke, she doesn't talk about being a family practitioner. She's talking about COVID-19 and the effects and the application of. So he's there on a task force to talk about. He's not restricting. That's the president. That's Captain Crunch. He's doing the restricting. He's just on the task force and bringing his expertise to the task force. So, but I'm not saying that what you're saying is incorrect, that he shouldn't be talking about immunization. But at this point, you should boost your immune system, but we still have a killer amongst us, and we have to talk about the etiology of it, because you can boost, and if it touch you, it's going to be very hard for it to come off of you. So not only should you
Right.
boost,
So I don't hear
you
no
have to
one
have
speak on that.
behaviors. You have to speak about the behaviors too, because if you just talk about the boost, it's going to be some problems. But the behaviors are important also. Do you get it?
I don't hear anyone talking about the boost.
No,
Have you
because that's not what
heard?
they're to talk about. They're talking about a task force about COVID-19. So you won't hear about it. They're not talking about their jobs. You get what I'm saying?
Well, that should be our first line of defense, right? Our individual self, our own line of defense, which is God's given natural innate ability to defend ourselves against foreign invaders, which is a virus. That should be our first lesson, right? I mean,
It
as
should be our
opposed
first
to
lesson, but not a task force for the country. That should be ours.
right,
You should definitely look at your first line, your immunity, and what you're eating and how you're taking care of yourself. That's personal. Now these guys
right,
are talking about the application of the virus in a stratagem for the country. So that's a task force,
right.
and I get it what you're saying. But if he stood up there and talked about everybody's individual immunology, then people would be like, "Well, we want to hear about COVID-19 and what it's doing in the country," because that's what he's there to do. But we
Right.
personally got to do better with us.
And yeah, also, and that's not a switch that you can flip
Mhm.
instantly in any way. There's things that you need to be having in your lifestyle to protect
True.
yourself ahead of time. You can't like decide to get healthy now and expect it to do any good. It's something that you have to already have you need to adopt that as a lifestyle change. You can't just take something and flip a switch and fix all of the bad habits that you've
True.
had all these years.
No, I don't think that, but I think it is definitely a start.
It is a start.
And with this task force, I'm not sure who's exactly on this task force, but that was my issue at first, or it still is, that it is a task
Mhm.
force, and that it is a group of people deciding what the rest of the world should be doing. You know what I mean? Because it's pretty much they are deciding what should go on for the rest of the world. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what Bill Gates is a part of that task force also, but I know he has had a voice in this. You know what I'm saying? As maybe an advisor, or you know what I mean, a consultant for a lot of these folks that's in political office. And I know that him and not Pence, Fauci, as the thing that I'm getting at is that I don't trust none of them. You know what I'm saying? And that I will research or investigate the reasons why they are saying all these things. You know what I mean? So Bill Gates, I know he was speaking on depopulation. You know what I'm saying, throughout the world. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And now he's propagating a vaccine or some type of treatment for it. And those two type of goals don't really add up. You know what I mean? If you're trying to save lives or you're trying to depopulate the lives, you know what I mean? So that will get me triggered and one not trusting them, and then countering or just not necessarily doing what they asked us to do. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And from a lot of the conspiracy theories I've seen, or a lot of the talks, or a lot of the interviews that I might encounter, you know what I mean? I think a lot of people are feeling this way too, you know what I mean? So, uh, yeah, just me basically on a personal level, on an individual level, that's the type of things that needs to be getting out. You know what I mean? That people should want to take their health concerns seriously and investigate why these dudes are saying these things. You know what I'm saying? Why Fauci is saying staying in the house. Why they're saying we need a vaccine. Why they're saying um, how this lockdown should be continued or even suspended. You know what I mean? And just thinking about their choice of words and their choice of actions.
Yeah. Okay. So we're at the part of the interview where we do the last will and testament. And it's a jewel. It's leaving the people with some inspiration, it's the light. So it's your light. So leave Ace's jewel with the community.
Well, just in light of all that is going on, I would just say to everybody, just investigate. Don't count out what your instincts or what your innate ability of survival is telling you. You know what I'm saying? And definitely don't take nobody's advice for face value, or meaning just don't accept everything you hear. You know what I mean? Investigate, do your own research. Um, just smarten up. Definitely, your health is a big concern. Everybody's doing the gym thing and the CMOS thing, and just continue to live your life. That's all.
All right. Awesome.
Ace, thank you so much for taking some time with us and sharing your perspective on the impact that this event is having on your life, and the way that you've been dealing with it yourself. We appreciate your time.
I appreciate you guys having me.
If you're listening now and you enjoyed this conversation and you would like to hear more conversations from the Rona Report, you can find them all at blackboxradio.com. That's BLAKBOXXRADIO.com. You can also find Black Box Radio on Instagram and Facebook at Black Box Radio. Find us on Twitter at BoxBlack. That's BOXXBLAK. And if you're hearing this conversation, we need your help in spreading this message. The conversations are being suppressed on social media platforms. So please share this with your friends and family so all of these important voices can be heard.
All right. This is the Rona Report. It is 4/29/20, and we had Ace. Ace, we really appreciate your perspective and your conspiracies. We appreciate it. And how you feeling? Thanks for bringing that to the Rona Report.
All right, thank you.
Really appreciate you. Black Box Radio, we out. Peace.